So over the weekend, I drove up to Seattle and spent a day at PAX West. It was a really fun time. I got to meet both old friends and new, browse some of the retro game vendors' shops, and saw plenty of amazing cosplays. After arriving back in Oregon, and finally getting to rest after a long day of walking around, my first thought was, why don't movies and shows understand how to do references anymore? Okay, in all seriousness, I've seen a lot of other people address this topic, but I wanted to bring my own take on it and why I feel like most movies and shows just do not understand how reverential humor works. Because to be honest, reverential humor has absolutely been taking over most modern movies these days. For those who don't know, reverential humor is humor revolving around another existing piece of media, or even a real-world event by referencing it, within the context of a movie or TV show. This actually can be done well, in my opinion, but we'll get there. The big issue people generally have these days is that most major film production studios don't understand how to execute a reference correctly, and movies are full of humor just like this now. For example, I just saw the new TMNT movie as soon as that came out last month, and while I did enjoy that overall, there are many blatant examples of poorly executed reverential humor. For instance, right here.
Okay, I'm following this. It's like Hulk in Avengers Endgame. Sure, he's a giant, terrifying green monster, but everyone knows he saved them, so they're taking selfies with him in a diner. You know, Mark Ruffalo mostly improvised that scene?
I know, he's good on his feet.
Nobody cares about that, okay?
Yes. Thank you, Raphael. Nobody cares about that. This is a perfect example of how not to do reverential humor, in my opinion. So many movies have moments like this where they think just randomly bringing a character up or an element of an entirely different piece of media will make the audience laugh, since they are also likely familiar with that piece of media from something else entirely.
It's impossible.
Oh, says the guy who has read more comics where people are fighting giant monsters than anyone on Earth.
I mean, I have,
You
but...
must be able to think of a way to stop something like that.
Of course! Attack on Titan!
Stop! This is interesting, however, because as many poorly executed references as TMNT has, there are some genuinely well done references too. Just bringing up a character out of nowhere won't do anything to leave any lasting impact with the audience in terms of humor, but having some sort of cleverness to it will. For instance, when the TMNT are being trained by Splinter, he decides to show them scenes from Bruce Lee and also from the Daredevil TV show. This is actually smart and genuinely funny, especially if you know the TMNT's origins, and how initially when it was still an independent comic book being published by Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman, they actually were inspired by Daredevil and Ronin very heavily, even going as far to get their powers from the same ooze that made Matt Murdock into Daredevil. So because of this, I do think references can be done well. But to me anyway, there are only two sorts of ways to make this happen. One, as stated previously, there is some sort of cleverness or forethought to the reference, or two, if it is incredibly quick and to the point, almost like a blink and you'll miss it situation. This is how references generally functioned when reverential humor started becoming more prevalent in the 90s and early 2000s, and often worked much better because of that, in my opinion. If the audience understood the reference, that was good and a neat Easter egg for them. If they didn't, it was usually fine, it didn't take away from the media production at hand, since it was generally pretty brief regardless. One recent movie that I think really nails this is the Mario movie, since there are so many blink and you'll miss it type references in that movie. As a movie itself, it's pretty by the numbers, but in terms of understanding how references really work, it completely knocks many other movies out of the water. There are so many clever Mario Universe references, but also just tons of references to other Nintendo properties in general. So what can Hollywood do to improve on this misunderstanding of how reverential humor really works? Well, in a lot of ways, I do think it sort of does understand what referencing something well looks like, as evidenced by the Mario movie, and parts of TMT as they said. However, these examples are few and far between. Audiences are quickly getting tired of the same lame jokes that aren't even really jokes, and the quippy MCU-style dialogue that is equally as annoying. However, with many major theatrical releases having bombed earlier this summer, either Hollywood needs to make some changes in how it handles references, and arguably humor overall, or people will look elsewhere. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a like anyway. I've been enjoying making these media analysis videos, so let me know in the comments if there's anything else you would like me to cover, or anything else you want to see from me. My socials are linked down below. I use Twitter. I stream on Twitch about 4 times a week. Catch me over there playing retro games. But for now, I've been Noah the Otter, and I'll see you on the Otter side. Bye!